Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a French tufted cushion or mattress. My husband made me this amazing swing. It's kind of like a Victorian look, and we have it at our lake house on the back deck so you can look out over the lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it, and I really wanted a French tufted mattress or bench cushion to put on it. However, every time I looked on Etsy or online somewhere, I would have had to get it custom made, and it was outrageously expensive. So I decided I would make my own French tufted mattress. I will say this is one of the hardest projects I've ever done, but I was so lucky because I had my mom, and she has been sewing stuff since I can remember. When I was little, she would sew us outfits, she would sew us pajamas, she sewed the girls pajama pants and MP. So I had her through the process, which was really helpful. I'm going to show you guys step by step what we did to make this French tufted mattress. These are the items that you will need to create this French tufted mattress. Foam, we used memory foam. Material, we used umbrella material, but I would recommend something a little bit more flimsy that will give that more of that tufting, that ruffled look. A sewing machine, thread that matches the material color, quilt batting spray adhesive, cushion silk film wrap, an upholstery or doll needle, a regular needle, a curved upholstery needle, and Dritz cover buttons. The first thing you need to do is measure your bench or your bed or swing. Make sure you know the length, the width. Now that we have the dimensions of your bench or your bed or swing, what you need to do is cut your foam material. And you want to cut that foam material to the exact dimensions of the bench or swing. After you've cut the foam, you want to cut your material. Now what you want to do for your material is you're going to need 6 total pieces. You're going to need 2 pieces for the top and the bottom. You're going to need 4 pieces for the side. And what you want to do is you want to add 1 inch to the length and width of the material, because you're going to need that extra material when you are sewing on the sewing machine. So our swing is 58 by 29. Therefore, for the top and the bottom pieces, we made them 59 by 30. For the side pieces, you're going to want to measure the height of your foam, so how tall it is. We had a foam piece that is 4 inches. We did go with the memory foam because we like the feel of it. It is more comfortable. So you want to take the length of your bench, which ours was 58. You would make one of those pieces 59. And since the height of the foam is 4 inches, we made it 5 inches. Therefore, 2 of the pieces of fabric would be 59 by 5 inches. You would do the same thing with the depth of the bench, 29 inches by 5 inches. And that way you can create your border when you're sewing. And then you have your top and bottom pieces as well that you're going to sew together. Once you have all your material cut, we are going to sew the pieces together. So what you want to do is line 2 of the pieces of materials together. We started with one of the edge pieces with the top piece. You always want to sew right sides together. So the side that you would see, you want to stick those together, pin those together, or clip those together, and then you want to start sewing. We did a 1/2 inch seam. So when you're sewing, you want to make it 1/2 inch all the way around anywhere that you sew. That's why we added 1 inch to the dimensions. It's because you're going to sew 1/2 inch on every side of the material. We did use a tight stitch because we didn't want any of the foam showing through or anything showing through. It does also give a very clean look if you do a tight stitch. With a tight stitch though, it does take longer. The sewing machine goes a little bit slower. Also, the material we used is a very durable, strong material, so it's a little bit harder to sew with and work with. If I was redoing it, I would probably use a crushed velvet or a linen softer material because it does give that more Victorian look with the ruffles. However, this is an outdoor swing, so we wanted to use a durable material. On one end, you want to leave an opening where you can stuff in the foam. Fifth, we took our foam and we wrapped quilt batting around it. First, we sprayed on the quilt batting adhesive to help that quilt batting stick to the foam. This just gives a fuller look to the cushion. We then wrapped our foam and quilt batting in a cushion silk wrap film. This helps keep the foam from getting moisture on it, or if it does get rained on, it won't get any water on it. It kind of makes it waterproof in there, therefore mold won't grow and it won't be hard for it to dry out. We only have to worry about drying out the outer material on the cushion. You then want to stuff the foam wrapped in the quilt batting and the silk wrap into your sewn material. This was very difficult. I was so lucky I had my mom there. I would highly recommend asking for help to do this. Once you have your foam stuffed into the material, you want to sew an invisible seam in that open end of the cushion and material. To sew this invisible seam, I just took a needle and thread, knotted the end of the thread. And what you want to do is when you're sewing, you want to go back and forth perpendicular with so you want to make a crease and you want to sew those two creases together. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch on one side, 1/2 inch on another, and then you want to hide the knot inside of one of the creases, and then you are going to go back and forth as tight as you can, perpendicular to those creases. And it is, once you pull it, it will create an invisible seam. At the end, you just want to knot it up a few times to keep it from coming undone. Next, we created a tuffeted look throughout the cushion. You want to decide on a design that you want. We did 3 tufts starting out, and then we did 2 tufts, and then 3 tufts, and then 2, and then 3. So we alternated the design. You can do whatever design you want here. This was extremely difficult. At first, we used the upholstery needles. They were too big because even the knot that we tied at the end, it would pull through. So we ended up using the dull upholstery needles. I would recommend using Dritz cover buttons. They just look like little upholstery buttons that goes into a tuft. This would help keep the thread from pulling through. Also gives a cleaner look. However, I couldn't find gold cover buttons. I really wanted gold ones, so I just decided to not use any Dritz cover buttons. What I did is I just put some thread, the same thread that we used to sew the cushion with. I put this through the dull upholstery needle. I used a lot of thread for this, so I made sure I had enough. I just tied a big knot at the end, and then what I did is measured out where I wanted all of the tufts to go. And what you want to do is just push the needle through one side. You're going to push it all the way through, pull it out through the other. Pull it as hard as you can pull it. You don't want to pull too hard though, because I did rip the thread a few times. And then you want to go back up, not through that same hole, maybe slightly a milliliter off of that, so you don't create too big of a hole. And you're going to go back up through the other side, the same hole, pull it up, and you're going to do that a couple times, and you want to pull it back up to the side that you're not going to be sitting on or showing, and then you're going to tie a slip knot. What you do with a slip knot is you're just going to create a loose knot, not pull it all the way through, and then pull the other side that you had left hanging where you had the knot and push it through. You're going to pull that really tight. It's going to create a nice tight knot. Once you've done that, pull it as tight as you can. You really want to pull the thread nice and tight to create that tuft. If you don't pull it tightly, you won't see as much of a tuft there. And then you're just going to tie a knot a few times to keep that in place, and then you're going to cut the remaining thread. After we created the tufts throughout the cushion, we created that beautiful French ruffled tuft look. What we did here is we did tufts that were about 1 inch apart, so we measured those 1 inch apart, and then we also measured 1 inch into the cushion on the top and the bottom, so you know where to put the needle through. We used the curved upholstery needle. We went through the bottom side of the cushion, so the top side you will see. We just thread that thread through the needle, tied a few knots at the bottom so it will hold that material as we are sewing. We started at the bottom of the cushion, came up through the top where we marked that measurement, pulled the thread nice and tight, and then we went back down. Repeat these steps a couple times, and then you want to end where you started. So pull the thread back through, tie a slip knot like we did before, and then tie a few knots with the thread, cut the remaining hanging thread, and do this all the way around the cushion on both sides. And once we were done with the cushion, we sprayed the Scotchgard Heavy Duty Water Shield. I always spray Scotchgard on my materials or fabrics if they aren't slip covered, because it just makes it so much easier to clean. If your cushion is not an outdoor cushion, I would just use regular Scotchgard. It's amazing, makes a world of difference. We now have a beautiful French Tufted cushion. I absolutely love it. It's perfect for our swing. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.